Fulham have just beaten Newcastle 2-1 at St James's Park, and I don't really know where to start with that, but first, actually I do. Fulham thoroughly deserved their victory. They were tremendous today. They controlled possession, they wanted it more, they were picking up loose balls, they had more fight, urgency, intensity than Newcastle United did. But in terms of Newcastle United, I don't really know where to start because I thought Fulham were the better side throughout the 90 minutes. I thought in the first half we were more effective, but Fulham had more control, if that makes sense. We were creating the more dangerous chances, and that's proven in the statistics. I mean, the end of the game finished like this. Fulham finished with a 1.64 expected goals, Newcastle United 0.91, and that was the story of the game. We looked off it, we couldn't control the game, we couldn't string 5 passes together. But this is what I mean about the first half. Look at the first half. We had 2 big chances, they had 1 big chance. Fulham dominated possession. They were moving the ball around so well throughout the 90 minutes. We had the better chances. We created the better chances in the first half. And I thought, if we can just keep a hold of this and do something similar in the second half, we might come away with a victory. But in the second half, our performance dropped off massively. 0.24 expected goals to Fulham's 1.5 expected goals. Fulham had 11 shots in that second half. They were brilliant today. Take nothing away from Fulham, but Newcastle United were absolutely terrible. Now, I wrote some notes that I want to get across. Opening 20 minutes from both of the halves, Fulham controlled the game, absolutely controlled the game. And like I mentioned in the first half, Fulham had more control, but we were more efficient with the ball. If Fulham had an end product and they were firing in the final third, Fulham could have scored 4 or 5 today. So we've got to count ourselves lucky that Fulham had no end product today in the final third. But I just thought, man to man, today, Newcastle United were miles off it. I can't think of a performance and thought he deserved to be on the winning side today. I thought every single player was miles off it. We're defensively sloppy. We're easily getting moved out of our position. We're not tracking any runners, losing duels. We're very unbalanced shape. And that's quite worrying because a team like Arsenal, if we give them the opportunities and the dictatorship that would allowed Fulham, they'll punish us. And what do we know? Fulham did punish us, but we've got a 2-0 lead against Arsenal. I'm telling you right now, if we play like that against Arsenal, they'll beat us. They'll go into that final. We will not be in that final if we put out a performance like that. Now, did we have one eye on the semi-final? I don't buy that. I think the players are tired. And I think if there's ever a game that screams that we need bodies in this transfer window, it's this game right here. There was a lack of shape, lack of concentration, and lack of intensity. Fulham are so very well balanced. They've got a good mix of physicality, intensity, and technical ability. And that was on show today. And then when we did receive possession, we're sloppy in possession, making the wrong decisions, misplacing simple passes. There was no ball appreciation, and there was a lack of options when we did have possession. And if we go back to SofaScore, I think it tells 1,000 words. If you look at our average positioning, I'm on the wrong page here. Here we go. If you look at our average positioning, Isak, Gordon, Murphy were so isolated. We weren't moving, we weren't trying to create, we weren't getting in that final third, trying to make things happen. Yes, we had a couple of moments when Tonali hit the ball, Isak hit the ball, but they weren't moments of us being brilliant. It was just a moment of brilliance from an individual player. If that had gone in, probably might have been a different game, but we did not deserve to win or get anything today, and I think there has to be an improvement. But again, I thought we made it quite easy again today for Fulham. They knocked the ball around us so easily. It was like we were pressing in individuals rather than as a unit, and good players just knock the ball around you, and that's exactly what Fulham done. Like I say, I mean, Fulham were brilliant today. We were miles off it. We're caught between 2 minds, I felt. We didn't know whether to sit back and try and hit them on the counter-attack or play between the lines, and I thought we couldn't get any rhythm into the game. We couldn't find any cohesion between the players. I thought Anthony Gordon showed the blueprint on how to get past Fulham with our opening goal. He come in short, dragged the defender with him, and then spun him behind. That double movement, Isak does it all the time, and I didn't see him do it today, but Anthony Gordon did. We got him behind him, and then Jacob Murphy with a goal. Jacob Murphy, by the way, that's 11 goal assists for this season, and I actually think that was a nice controlled finish from Jacob Murphy. I think if that was Jacob Murphy last season, that would have went over the bar. So he's definitely improved. His confidence is getting better, but again, we were miles off it. Eddie Howe was miles off it today. Now, I don't like criticising Eddie Howe too much because of where he's put. He's put in contention for Champions League. He's qualified for Champions League. He's taken with the finals. He's been brilliant, but he's only got one game plan, and that showed today. He didn't know how to adjust his tactics to stop Fulham getting around with. I said in my preview, Fulham use the width a lot. They've crossed the most balls in the penalty area this season. They use the width a lot, especially that left-hand side. And I thought Tino and Lewis Hall were getting ran ragged today. But aside from that, getting back to Eddie Howe, I thought he was reactive again rather than being proactive. For me, I would have brought Lewis Miley on to bring more control in the midfield. Joe Willock doesn't give you that control. He's a player that wants to latch in behind, get onto through balls. He's that type of player. He doesn't give you that controlled dictatorship in the middle. And I think Lewis Miley sometimes gives you that. So I would have brought Lewis Miley on myself instead of Joe Linton, because I thought Joe Linton was terrible today, to be honest. But the lack of signings in this transfer market is going to impact us going forward. If we don't qualify for Champions League or any European football at all, I think it's because of the lack of signings this window. I think we need a striker, we need a winger, we need a midfielder, and we need a centre-back. We need a striker because when Isak's not on it, we've got nobody to come on. Look what Fulham did today. Raul Jimenez scored, came off. Muniz come on, scored. They've got two strikers that can win a game of football. We don't. We've only got one. And if that one isn't firing, we've got nothing. And we need another winger, especially with Harvey Barnes being injured, because we can't just continue to rely on Anthony Gordon, Jacob Murphy, because they will tire. This is so intense Premier League football, and the lack of productivity in this transfer market is going to impact us. When you think about it, I don't understand the difference from signing somebody now to in the summer, because if we do it now, we've got coverage, and if we qualify for European football or a level above in European football, qualifying for Europa League instead of the Conference League, or qualifying for Champions League instead of the Europa League, it's going to benefit with in the summer targets, because we're more likely to land our summer targets being in higher echelons of European football. So investing in your team now is just going to benefit you in the long run. So I don't know why we're waiting, but that's a frustration in itself. But again, I don't like it how Eddie Howe is always reactive rather than proactive. You could see from minute one that game was getting away from us. You could see it. Everyone could see it. But I bet you people in the stadium, fans at home, were all probably thinking, we need to change this because Fulham are dominating us. And that's exactly what it was. Even though they didn't have that final third quality, they controlled the full 90 minutes. And that's a worrying thing, that Eddie Howe sat there and let the game just develop, let the game go on, let Fulham just gain confidence and think that this is easy, because it looked easy for Fulham. We need to change it earlier, whether that be tactically or personnel-wise. Personally, I would have changed it personnel-wise before Fulham had scored. I was screaming out for Lewis Miley to come on, for Kieran Trippier to come on, because I didn't think Tino had a good game. And if we get on the individual players, I thought Tino was miles off it. He wasn't getting tight enough to his man. He was positionally caught out all the time. And he was generally just not contributing to anything we did offensively or defensively. I think Tino will become a good player, but there's a lot of improvements that need to be made. So Eddie Howe is going to have to work on him one-on-one, because sometimes he gets the wrong side of the player, or he shows the player down the wrong side. He shows him inwards when he should be showing him outwards. His body positioning's all wrong. So there's a couple of things with Tino that does need improving. And if we don't improve those little aspects, then he's not going to improve. But I thought Shaw and Dan Burn, lack of concentration once again. We're seeing it week in, week out now. Against Bournemouth, we're seeing it. Against Southampton, we're seeing it. Against Brentford, when we got pummeled at their place, we're seeing it. Just lack of concentration, whether that be getting caught ball watching or getting drawn towards the ball. We're not tracking our runners, and it's clear as day when we're not defending set pieces good. We're not defending crosses well. And I really don't want to use tiredness as an excuse for it, because that's defending 101. Track your runners, get goal side of your man. Even for Fulham's second goal, there was 4 or 5 players around their one player, and he managed to get to the ball first. We need somebody to take leadership. Usually it's Fabian Shaw, but he just hasn't been doing it recently, and this is why I think Sven Botman's got to start against Arsenal. Then when it comes to the midfield, we can't be dominated in the midfield like that. And I've been saying it from the Wolves game. I know we beat Wolves 3-0, but something wasn't right. We didn't look with normal self. And I think the only reason we beat Wolves 3-0 is because Wolves didn't have any clinical edge, and we played the best formation to play against the back three. We got pummeled by Bournemouth, and we got overrun in the midfield. Against Southampton, at times we did get overrun in the midfield. We just had the extra level of quality to beat them. And then today, we're getting overrun in that midfield. There was no leadership. There was no cohesion. The first touch was off. We're misplacing passes. What worries me the most about that is when somebody was receiving the ball, there was a lack of options. No, everybody hit. Nobody wanted the ball. That's what it looked like to me. And then when we get the forward line, Alexander Isak and Anthony Gordon were so isolated they just couldn't get into the game. Apart from Gordon's assist and Isak hitting the bar, that was just picking up a loose ball, then we had nothing. We had nothing going forward, and that's the worrying thing. I can understand getting beat when you create chances and you're just unlucky on the day, but today we weren't even that. We didn't even create good, solid chances. And Fulham came to St. James's Park and did exactly what I thought they would do. They defended the space, went to a man-to-man pressing, and Eddie Howe just didn't know how to change it, to be honest. Let's be perfectly honest. The tackle down the width, which is exactly what I said they would do. Now, what I would have done is pushed Anthony Gordon just slightly closer to Alexander Isak so they could bounce off each other, and that would have just misshaped their back four a little bit. And then I would have pushed Lewis Hope high and wide, because if you cheat a little bit with your left back, that would have got Traore tracking his runner, so that would have just impacted them going offensively against us. So that's what I would have done personally. Whether it would work, I don't know, but I would much rather a manager try something than just watch the game just passing by. And I thought that's exactly what Eddie Howe done today. If it was me, I would prefer my manager to try something and it not coming off, but at least he's tried something. He's tried to be innovative. He's tried to beat the opposition through a tactical adjustment. But today, throughout the full 90 minutes, we didn't scare Fulham at all. Did not scare Fulham at all, and that's the worrying thing for me. But I have got a new segue, so I want to bring it in for this game, and it's so unfortunate that I can't provide it for a Newcastle United player. But the mango of the match. Who's going to win the first ever mango of the match? And do you know what? I'm going to give it to Calvin Bassey. I thought today he was brilliant. Defended. He was aggressive in his defended. He marked his space well. He marked Isak out the game well. But he had quality on the ball. He was playing through the lines. He was progressing play. He was a big part of their build-up in that first stage of their build-up. And I just thought he was tremendous today. So full credit to Calvin Bassey. But again, today, Newcastle United miles off it, and I'm worried for Arsenal. I cannot lie, I'm worried for Arsenal. But I want to hear your thoughts. Drop us a comment in the below. Let me know your thoughts on that game. And if you could and would make a signing, what area would you improve? Let me know in the comments below. But until next time, away the lads.